The Houston Texans have had a hard time overcoming poor execution and lack of help offensively. So the 2026 offseason should be solely on focusing, improving what works best.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, from H-Town to your town. Today's episode and every episode of the Locked On Texans podcast is for Texan fans all around. Super excited for today's episode. As we go into the weekend, it's important for me to get my ears back to the streets. What have y'all been talking about, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, social media? I think this has been a week for Houston Texan fans where I could just be a therapist and let y'all get it out. And I'm going to do that here on today's show as we get ready for the 2026 offseason. A lot to cover, but I got to talk to y'all before we go into the weekend, as it will get cold. AFC South potentially getting better. The Tennessee Titans got Robert Saleh now, y'all. Some of y'all may not be worried, right? That may be the bravado of the Houston Texans because the Texans do have the Titans number, but I can foresee the Titans experiencing the same type of success and culture change under Robert Saleh as the Houston Texans did and had under DeMeco Ryans. I'm opening up today's show talking about why it's important for Houston to focus on what worked best for them in 2025. Take everything together, clip it up, clip all the film, practice film, game film, clip it up, and look at what worked best for us and how can we improve on that. And improving on what works best, eliminates all of the bad things that didn't work well for Houston. And so I'm going to give you guys my 2026 offseason plan, how to fix the Houston Texans. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Every game during playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And I want to shout out my everydayers from the Himalayas for making the Locked On Texans podcast your first listen of the day. What worked well for the Houston Texans in 2025? I think it's obvious, y'all. Tell me right now. When they ran the ball well, when they eliminated negative yards on first and second down, this was a different offense. Especially when you see the insertion of Trent Brown into the offense, the penalties cut down a little bit. The offense took a little bit more control. How can Houston get to that point more consistently? That's by revamping their entire approach. 2025 offseason, one of their bigger offensive acquisitions in free agency, Laken Tomlinson, Cam Robinson, right? Those guys are no longer here and virtually had no impact on the success or lack thereof for the Houston Texans in 2025. So when I say it's time to revamp their approach, you got to get guys in the building that can stick around for more than a year. You got to get guys in the building that can stick around for more than a quarter of the season. You got to get guys in the building that are actually good at their job. And for Laken Tomlinson, no disrespect, he was not good at his job. That's when we start to see the rotation in and out, and then essentially he was released by the Houston Texans. So how can Houston revamp their approach? Number one, I'm going old, young. Let's talk about old. If I'm the Houston Texans, if I was just, if I had my ear to the streets and I can give some advice to the Houston Texans front office, I would go veteran, left guard and center to pair along with Ed Ingram. I think Ed Ingram, of all the things, whether you like him or not, from Nick Caserio this year, signing Ed Ingram on the last year of his rookie deal was extremely smart and a good move for Houston. You still get a young player who was the best run blocker for Houston all year. So you re-sign him, right? We all love Tyler Linderbaum. But if I'm the Houston Texans, I'm looking at any way I can to create resources in my salary cap to make sure my center guard combo are veterans that have success in the league and know how to run block. Okay, that's number one. And I have to give a lot of credit to Danny Baird for developing Jawar Jordan and Woody Marks. I think in their role at their peak for a winning and consistently successful offense, those guys are an RB3. When I look at Jawar Jordan, I think he's proved enough, especially when he got his chance for Houston to, at the very least, come into the next offseason and training camp and have that role already earned. I'm not going to say given to him, earned. And Woody Marks can be that guy that you fluctuate in between RB2 and RB1. He did a lot of good, a good job of developing those guys. But for Houston, they got to look at getting a top end running. Now, that top end running back could come via free agency or the draft. Let's talk about free agency first. Now, a lot of us like Breece Hall, right? And I think for the Houston Texans, it would have been smart for Houston to figure out a way to trade for Breece Hall at the trade deadline. Maybe the money wasn't there, or maybe they felt like at that point of the season, giving up those assets wouldn't have made sense. Now, we know that Houston has 2 second-round picks in 2026, 2 fourth-round picks in 2026. So maybe they felt like they just want to hang tight, and they found something in Woody Marks. But here's what I want to let you guys in on a little secret. Breece Hall, Robert Saleh, they know each other very well. Tennessee has $80+ million in salary cap. Robert Saleh could very well say, hey, man, I want my guys, man. I want some guys that I know can ball. I want some playmakers. Breece Hall would be one of those guys. So I could see Breece going to Tennessee just off the strength of, I'm going to go play with a coach that I like, and they're giving me money. And Tennessee may overpay just a little bit. So let's approach upgrading running back like, Tennessee is in the bidding war with Breece Hall, and they're winning above everybody else. Then you look at Javonte Williams, who had a very good year with the Dallas Cowboys. But when we look at judging and analyzing and evaluating upgrading the running back room for the Houston Texans, keep in mind the Texans rushing splits 201 zone runs compared to 232 gap runs. Now let's go to the draft in 2026. Jadarian Price, Notre Dame, backup for Jeremiah Love, very good runner. Just had Jeremiah Love in front of him. A lot of you guys may say, why would I go with the backup? I understand that. Emmett Johnson, Nebraska, 5.8 yards per carry. Finished the year with 713 rushing yards in his last 5 games. 713. That could be a foreshadow. I'm just throwing that out there. But he's a very good rusher as well. This is where it get really interesting to me, guys. Right? 201 zone runs, 232 gap runs. Keep that in mind when we talk about Katron Allen, 6.2 yards per carry in 2025, 5 yards per carry in 2024. Here's the plus: 139 gap runs. Okay, 792 yards after contact, 57 forced missed tackles. Those are right there, just 3 running backs off the top of my mind in the 2026 draft that I think Houston could benefit from adding to this roster. Now, why am I going about this approach? Number one is just smart. That's number one. You get younger at a position with running back where you can pair that young running back with a couple of young running backs actually, and a coach that has shown the ability to develop in some sense, but also that running back would come into a situation where their offensive linemen ain't getting knocked in the backfield every time they touch the ball, right? That was a problem for Houston. They experienced a ton of negative plays in 2025, a ton of negative run plays in 2025. And if you go back and look at a lot of those plays, the center guard combo was just getting blew back a lot, especially at left guard and center. But also the numbers show that when Houston is successful on first and second down, or when Houston is able to run the ball at a higher rate, the offense is a much more efficient offense. So when I look at the yards to go in between 1 yard to 3 yards, a 65% completion percentage, 7.8 yards per attempt, 6 TDs compared to 1 interception, only 3 sacks. And then I go look at how those numbers favor against just second and third down numbers. Second and 1 and 3 to go. Passing plays. 130 yards. That don't blow you away, but let's check this number out. 8.7 yards per attempt, 2 TDs, 0 interceptions, 1 sack, 11 first down, a passer rating of 138. Second and 4 to 6 yards to go. 401 yards, 8.2 yards per attempt, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks, 27 first downs, and 83.8 yards per 83.8 pass rating. Third and 1 and 3 yards to go. 256 yards, 8.5 yards per attempt, 3 TDs, 1 interception, 1 sack, 17 first downs, and 109 passer rating. When you make things easier for CJ Stroud and the offense altogether and eliminate the poor execution and the negative plays, we're seeing a different version of this quarterback. We're seeing a different version of the offense. And I think if we put everything on tape, that should be the biggest takeaway. That should be the biggest focus. We just saw what happened in the playoffs when CJ Stroud had to play Superman in a lot of ways. No Nico. And on a lot of those runs, I mean, they had 12 yards on 8 carries in the first half. You're not going to win football games like that in the playoffs. You're just absolutely not going to do that. And that did force CJ Stroud to have to do more. He wasn't able to do more because more wasn't around him. So give Nick Cady what he needs first. Simplify things for CJ Stroud in the offense. And then when we come back, I also want to talk about my wide receiver take. Some people didn't like what I said about it. And I'm going to explain a little bit more before we dive into the AFC South potentially just getting better and could be a bloodbath for 2026. But before that conversation, it's important to let you guys know that it is tax season. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on about your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours and hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. So for a limited time, you can have your taxes done professionally by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert, didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and Texan fans across the nation. Hey, if you guys didn't know about this awesome program, the Locked On Podcast Network initiative we've kicked off, it's called the Everydayer Club. I want to thank you guys for making the Locked On Texans podcast your first listen of the day, and thank you for making the Locked On Network the #1 sports podcast network. But if you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. You get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Texans, compatible with Apple Podcast, Spotify, and every other major podcasting app. And this is also an invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of this show. And I'll be hanging out as well to hype it up, have some good conversations. This is where I will start pulling our ear to the street segment from. Whatever you guys say, I want to talk about it on the show. Let great football minds think alike, hear alike, and speak alike together. That's what we're going to do on the Locked On Texans podcast. So visit LockedOnTexans.Supercast. Again, that's LockedOnTexans.Supercast, or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. Now, Texan fans, some people had issues with what I said about the wide receiver unit moving forward. And I said, hey, I think Houston should operate as if Tank Dell ain't coming back next year. I think Houston should operate as if the only 2 receivers that you can count on and that shows you anything worth building off of from 2025, Nico Collins, your Pro Bowl receiver, Jaden Higgins, your rookie. Now, that didn't include Jalen Noel. They didn't include Xavier Hutchinson as well. That didn't include Christian Kirk. That didn't include Justin Watson. That didn't include Braxton Berrios. Guys, all of those players, or Xavier Hutchinson, all of those players. You got 2 players in Justin Watson and Braxton Berrios who supported, virtually nothing in 2025. Berrios had a moment, but that moment came and went extremely fast. So I think it's smart for Houston to move off of those guys. And I'm going to explain why. But then you get to Jalen Noel. From that rookie year, and things could change Noel, when he got the opportunity, made some plays in spurts throughout the season. But was it enough to justifiably say this wide receiver room is going to be good whenever we get another year for Jalen Noel and when Tank Dell returns? It is extremely unfair to put that on Tank Dell. He's going to have to learn the offense. He's going to have to learn Kaylee's play style and what he likes to do with receivers. And then on the flip side, Kaylee's going to have to learn him in terms of playing on the field. He wasn't here in 2025. 2 seasons in a row where he's gotten hurt. And this is why it's important to build in that receiving room, because after a while, you got to start looking at, okay, who's going to be able to succeed Nico Collins? And after a while, you're going to have to look at 2 seasons. Tank Dell has gotten hurt. Godspeed. I'm looking forward to seeing him back on the field. But there's not a receiver on his roster past Higgins and Nico where you can absolutely say that this player will have an impact in 2026 based on 2025. So, with that being said, here's how Houston can improve their wide receiver room. You go get a player, whether it be draft, free agency, and the free agent class for the wide receivers of this year is not good. So let's just say draft or trading for a receiver that is an absolute impact player and has built on the resume in his last 2 seasons and has shown the ability to be an impact player. And that way, when you look at the 2026 season and what it could be, you're not banking on Tank Dell. You're not banking on Jalen Noel. You're banking on 3 receivers who have shown you the ability to be good. Nico, Higgins, whoever Houston should target. And now you look at, for the first time maybe in franchise history, especially if you get a full season out of this bunch, you're looking at a dynamic player at receiver being inserted into this roster. I know I may have said A.J. Brown, but honestly, if I'm the Houston Texans, I'm reaching out to see about Devontae Smith. I think Mekhi Lemon will be gone in the draft, and I think Houston would have to trade too much to move up to go get him. The same about Lane from USC, 2 good receivers, right? But if you're looking to add proven talent, whatever's going on up there in Philly, it ain't just A.J. Brown. It ain't just A.J. Brown. Go get Devontae Smith if you can. And now you're looking at adding Smith, Higgins, Nico, and the bottom of that receiver room looks like Tank Dell as wide receiver 4, Jalen Noel as wide receiver 5. Now that is a full unit, something Houston hadn't had before. Let's talk football. Let's not talk favoritism. Let's talk football. This is a business, and every year it is the job of the general manager to improve on personnel, whether it's coaching or player personnel. In this case, in 2025, after losing what they lost in 2024, injury and free agency, they didn't improve on the personnel good enough. That cannot be a mistake moving forward, especially when you know that when it gets down to the end of the year, the past 3 seasons, the quarterback has been left out there with one guy to go. And this year, it was Dalton Schultz. He goes down. He was just left out there with Jaden Higgins. There was no impact from any other receiver. And for sure, it wasn't Christian Kirk who had his one moment against the Steelers. Can't bank on him. Got to move off that. So that's why I believe it's important and smart for Houston to still invest in their wide receiver room. Each and every year, that wide receiver room in a passing league should be evaluated as, what have you done for me lately? You don't do that with the receiver or with the running backs. You don't do that with the quarterback. You do it with the running backs, but you don't do it with the running backs. You don't do that necessarily with the offensive line room outside of maybe some depth pieces. And Houston has to upgrade running back, offensive line. But it's important to upgrade and evaluate the wide receiver room as such, because you don't know what these guys are going to give. You do not know. We do not know what Tank Dell is going to give Houston moving forward. Now, with the AFC South potentially getting better, wow. Houston got some soul searching to do, man. This is not. So 2 seasons ago, Jacksonville, somewhat of a laughing stock. Last year, laughing stock. Indianapolis always seems to find a way to stick around. But now we're looking at Tennessee and their projectile going up, right? Robert Saleh never had a quarterback in New York. Many of us with eyes believe a good coach and playmakers around Karen Ward, that could be a dangerous team over there. Liam Cohen has the city of Jacksonville believing in Trevor Lawrence again. Trevor Lawrence was an MVP candidate. I didn't know that he ended up top 5. I thought that was crazy. No hate to Trevor Lawrence, right? That allows for people who believed in him coming out to feel validated. But people believe in Trevor Lawrence again. Jacksonville people do. And to close out the year, Trevor Lawrence was one of, if not the hottest quarterback in the NFL after they trade for Jacoby Myers. And they're going to continue to get better with the infrastructure they have in place. They got rid of a lot of bad aspects, coaches, personnel guys, front office guys, whatever you want to do to get over the hump of just being a bad team. And now under Cohen, he's gotten his quarterback to a place where they believe in each other, the trust is there, plays can be made. They got to just build around it. This is a great foundational year for the Jags in Liam's first year. I also think, hey, stop messing around, put Travis Hunter over at cornerback, let him be the eventual best cornerback in the NFL. That's what they need to do. Stop playing around on both sides, right? But they got a good foundation in place over there, great foundation in place over there. And so they win 11 games this year, or 12 games. They win the AFC South. They are immediately a team that we have to scout for, evaluate for, be prepared for next year. Houston split with them. But when I look at what's going on with Tennessee, they haven't hired their offensive coordinator yet at the time of this recording. That's going to be the key for any belief that that team could be better, 2 times, 3 times better. I'm not going to say 10 times. That's just, overblowing it. But we know that Robert Saleh is going to do some things that, hey, number one, we're going to get some defensive players in here that can move the defense how he wants to be moved. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go after one of them boys from Miami. Age aside, them boys play good football, right? They got money. So you look at some of the available options out there, offensive line, tight end options, right? I talked about Breece Hall. They have the money to do some of the things similar to what the New England Patriots did going into year 2 for Drake May. Had the money, spent it in spots where they needed the improvements, and that was a team that went from 4 wins to now in the AFC Championship game. Tennessee has great draft position. This is a team that could look to trade back if they want to, or take the best player available. They got so many outlets, and with a smart coach like Robert Saleh, it's going to make it tough on the division to keep up with the Tennessee Titans if he has the right offensive coordinator and they spend the money correctly. In a year or 2, that team could be extremely dangerous. And for the Houston Texans, they got to find a way to keep their grip on things. How do they do that? Spend the money wisely, be smart in offseason, right? Draft players that can impact the team day one, and they typically have under DeMeco Ryans, and get better coaching in the building. But we're going to close out this episode talking about what y'all have been talking about. My ear to the streets, what y'all been saying. I can't wait to dive into it. Before that conversation, the NFL season is popping right now. And there's nothing like being at the game, the crowd noise, the energy, and cheering alongside other fans. Watching at home is great, but being in the stadium hits a little different. The frustrating part has always been getting tickets, waiting in queues, dealing with login screens, and watching prices change right at checkout. That's why I shop with the Game Time app. They give the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing sports tickets and experiences in just a few taps. I pulled up the Game Time app to check out all of the upcoming Rockets games. I chose one, found a great ticket option, and instantly bought my ticket. So I'll be going next week to go see some Houston Rockets play basketball. And one of my favorite features is being able to see the view from my seat before buying. So there's no surprises. I'm tired of surprises. We get enough surprises. Game time takes the surprises away. Game time takes the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On NFL today. Again, use code Locked On NFL with Game Time and get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Game Time. Download Game Time app today and get back to being there live. But also, Texas fans out there, so much to do this offseason. There's so much to do with FanDuel, the official sportsbook of the NFL. They are in playoff mode right now. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside of the app. The boost gives you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go along after even bigger payouts while the playoffs are still rolling. So visit FanDuel, again, the official sports betting partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Closing out today's episode, it's time to hear from you guys, man. It's been a week. It's been a week, so let's dive right into it. You my bun. Some of these names. Some of these names. Listen, he says, I blame Nick Caserio. He keep bringing in washed up O-line vets. First two picks in the draft need to be offensive line. Here's what I say to that. And this is another part of why, and I didn't explain it earlier, but why I think Houston needs to go after quality vets. You my bun. And things could change possibly under Cole Popovich, which I believe that they will. I would have loved to see Kenyon Green with Cole Popovich. But the fact is, Nick ain't drafted a lot of great offensive linemen here in Houston. The best offensive lineman Nick has had since he got to Houston, he inherited Titus Howard and he inherited Larry Tunsil. Now, Ariante Ursary could be the outlier for that. I'm not giving enough faith on Blake Fisher. Tackles. He has not drafted a dependable, reliable, Pro Bowl, future Pro Bowl caliber interior offensive lineman, and they have struggled with that. He has struggled with that. So, yes, I'm partial to what you said, you my bun. He has brought in some, I don't want to call him washed up, but he's brought in some vets that ain't been up to par. But spending the first two picks in the draft, I think, would be irresponsible. When you spend two picks, then what does that say about your offseason? What does that say about free agency? Did you completely fail free agency? Right? And that would be a concern of mine when I look at bringing in a offensive lineman, whether it be you want to do 2 first-round picks. I'm like, wow, they just didn't get nobody in free agency. And that's scary because now what you look at a situation where what the guys that's high on your draft board isn't there. What do you do then? Do you pivot? Do you trade back? Or what happens? And maybe you don't end up with the player you absolutely want or need. Danny Corleone. He said, I like to see us bring in Kingsbury and trade for Collar or Baker. Brother, I know this has been a rough week for CJ Stroud. I know he ain't all fond of him right now, and I get it. I've been critical of him. Right, the postseason performance, piss poor, god awful, right? But I ain't trying to see Kyler Murray in Houston. I'm not. I'm not trying to see Kyler Murray in Houston. And Cliff Kingsbury offense, if you look at year 1 to year 2 of Kingsbury offense, there's always a struggle there with that offense. Wow, I wonder why. Feels like defense is kind of figured out. Um, maybe the organizations he was with didn't do enough on the offensive side of the ball, which is a problem here in Houston. So, but I don't think y'all realize Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray doesn't play winning football a lot. CJ Stroud, at the very least, has played winning football to a degree of I can get you to the playoffs for sure. I got 3 wins in the playoff. I don't think Kyler Murray has a win in the playoffs. There's a newcomer, After Dark Rewind. I don't know what you got going on over there. He says Hickman utters that Kaylee needs more guys, but doesn't think CJ needs more guys. I've never seen a franchise deserve a quarterback less. Shout out to Stan for understanding that D'Amico and Caserio failed big time, building a super defense and giving your quarterback absolutely nothing to work with. This was on the squad show. I don't think I said that CJ don't need more guys. For the last couple of days, I've said CJ need more guys. But if I'm saying Nick Kaylee need more guys, I think that's saying CJ need more guys. I can say CJ needs more guys, and that doesn't mean Nick Kaylee needs more guys. But if Nick Kaylee needs more guys, then obviously his quarterback needs more guys to be successful. And I just think that's fair. That's a fair assessment. Your offense needs more guys. And it ain't just like skill position guys. They need a left guard. They need a center. They need a running back. They need another tight end. They need a tight end too. They need a successor for Dalton Schultz. They need a wide receiver 3. They all need it. So, but I mean, instead of that's my guy, man. We've talked about it early in the season. I was saying, and I've said it over and over again. This is what they are telling us. So if this is what they're telling us, I'm going to make sense of it. They're saying the coaching will get the offense where it needs to be. It didn't. So now we're able to hold them to the fire. Stan called it out from the beginning, though. It ain't enough, y'all. It ain't enough. Let's see. We also got my man Jarrell Scott. Texans should have kept Diggs. Absolutely. South Park Rays. If his agent wants $55 a year, let him walk. Texas fans not really, fans of CJ right now, they are okay with moving on from him. They are really okay with moving on from CJ Stroud. Kirk showed up for 5 minutes. Yeah, man, that brother got to go. All right, we talk about bringing in vets or playmaker. It ain't Christian Kirk. I think if Kirk returns back next season, then he'd be a perfect wide receiver 5. Shouldn't be 2, shouldn't be 3. Make the case for 4. But he shouldn't be the guy that makes or breaks the offense. He should only be the guy that when we look up, when everybody else is playing great football, oh, man, look what Robert Woods did today. He had 2 catches for 21 yards, 2 first downs. Nothing crazy, nothing spectacular. It just worked. Thank y'all for watching today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12 and on Instagram at SomeSportsGuy. Hey, let's have a great weekend. Stay safe out there, Houston and surrounding areas. And I'm going to be back, hopefully the cold don't freeze me out next week, talking your team every day. Peace.